In the heart of Banana Island, where the mansion stood taller than ambition, and the gates shut out the chaos of Lagos, lived like a rumor, present but barely acknowledged. Zara Oduole. The Oduole estate was a palace of silence. Marble floors, imported orchids, and a chef on salary, yet Zara washed her own clothes by hand behind the staff quarters. Her late mother, Remy, once ran a charity empire from this very house. But since her death, Zara had faded into background noise. Mrs. Ronke Oduole, chief's second wife, ran the house like a curated Instagram feed. She draped her own daughters Tiwa and Kamsi in Balenciaga and Chanel, while Zara wore hand-me-downs folded neatly in drawers she was never meant to open. "Don't embarrass the family," Ronke would whisper before events. "You can stay upstairs." Oh, Chief Lanra Oduole, the real estate mogul and serial absentee, was always in Abuja or handling contracts. His presence was measured in bank alerts, not attention. When he did appear, he gave Zara a tired nod, fatherly enough to silence guilt, distant enough to be useless. Every day, Zara set the dining table she wasn't allowed to eat at. Every weekend, she cleaned the pool she wasn't allowed to swim in. She was a guest in her own legacy. But even diamonds crushed under pressure still sparkle. And one day soon, this quiet girl in slippers would walk out of this mansion, not broken, but unbothered. The Oduole mansion had mirrors everywhere, gilded, imported, carefully placed to reflect light and image. But Zara wasn't in any of them. At every brunch, Mrs. Ronke Oduole played the perfect host. Her smile was always camera-ready, her accent imported from vacations abroad, and her daughters posed like they were born famous. To the outside world, she was a modern Lagos matriarch. Inside, she was a curator of appearances, and Zara didn't fit the aesthetic. "Zara," she snapped during one gathering, "don't wear flat slippers to serve the drinks. It looks like we're running a rehab center." Zara didn't flinch. She'd learned silence was safer than sarcasm. Tiwa and Kamsi, dressed in matching silk robes, giggled while scrolling their phones. "Mom, someone in our DMs said Zara looks like a staff member," Tiwa whispered, loud enough for Zara to hear. Ronka laughed. "Let them guess. Mystery adds value." In truth, Zara did everything. Arranged flowers, managed vendors, fixed last-minute wardrobe malfunctions. But never a thank you, only edits. When she once requested to attend a tech workshop in Yaba, Ronke raised a brow. "Networking? With who? Traders?" "Zara, be serious. This is Lagos, not Nollywood." Chief Lanra, who overheard, said nothing. He was too busy negotiating land in Abuja to notice his daughter was being erased in plain sight. That night, Zara stood in front of one of those many mirrors. She waved. It didn't wave back. But deep in her eyes, something flickered. Resentment, resolve, or both. It started with a knock at the service gate, a soft rap, like someone unsure of their welcome. Zara opened it to find a young man holding a brown paper bag and a helmet tucked under his arm. Sweat lined his forehead, but his smile was crisp. "Good morning. One special order, soft bread and coconut jam." She blinked. "You deliver pastry?" He laughed. "Gourmet. Don't let the bike fool you. I'm Toby." Zara hesitated, then took the bag. "You're late. Traffic in Lekki is like Lagos gossip, never ends." He winked. Over the next few weeks, he returned like clockwork. Same helmet, same grin, sometimes with bread, sometimes with booklets, always with something to say. "Did you know Ikoya used to be a prison site?" he'd ask. "Now it's just designer chains and invisible fences." Zara began waiting by the gate, pretending to sweep. He noticed. "You like to read?" he asked one day, nodding at the book half hidden in her wrapper. She nodded. "It's easier than talking." You just haven't met the right ears, he replied. Ronka barely noticed the exchanges. To her, Toby was harmless, just another Okada boy with ambition, which meant poor enough not to matter. So when Zara started smiling more, Ronke assumed it was gratitude for the scrap she was fed. She never guessed that the man behind the helmet was watching Zara, not with pity, but with interest. And definitely not for the bread. Zara didn't expect the suitor, neither did Ronke, which is what made it worse. He arrived in a black G-Wagon, flanked by assistants and a personal chef. Mr. Ayula, son of a senator, heir to a fuel empire and clearly intrigued by what little he'd heard of the quiet girl in the Oduol house. Zara met him in the rose garden wearing a simple dress that contrasted his tailored agbada and gold wristwatch. He smiled. She didn't. Ronka watched from the patio, trying to control the situation. Tiwa and Kamsisi's, why Zara? Dinner was arranged that same night. Zara served the meal herself, not by choice, but by Ronke's command. It will humble you, she had said. As Mr. Ayula took his first bite, his smile faltered. Then his expression twisted. Excuse me, he said, standing abruptly. This tastes off. He rushed from the room. Minutes later, he was vomiting in the driveway. Ronke was horrified, but not surprised. She had tampered with the food. It was subtle. Expired oil, mixed spices, but enough to disgust. Enough to shame. She needed the suitor gone. Permanently. The next morning, Ayula's assistant sent a polite decline via text. No further interest. No second meeting. Zara cried for the first time in months, not because she'd lost a suitor, but because she'd finally understood. Ronke would rather destroy her than see her loved. From the kitchen window, Toby saw her wiping her eyes with her apron. He didn't knock. He just left the bread and walked away because even gentlemen know when it's time to start preparing for something bigger. Weeks passed. Zara stopped waiting by the gate. But one rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled over Banana Island, Toby returned, drenched, breathless, holding a box instead of bread. I didn't come for a delivery, he said. I came for you. Zara stared at him. You're soaked. I've been soaked before. This time it's worth it. Inside the box was a simple silver ring. No diamond, no designer label, just honesty. Zara, he said, I don't have a yacht or a private jet. I don't come from oil or land. But I know who you are. And I want to build something with you, something real. Zara's hands trembled. No one had ever offered her a future without conditions. From the balcony above, Ronke watched, lips curled. Tiwa gasped. Mum, he's proposing? Ronke's face darkened. Let him. Let her marry her delivery boy. That evening, she blessed the union over dinner with a glass of wine and a fake smile. You've always been difficult to place, Zara, Ronke said smoothly. Now we can say you married someone in logistics. No shame in service. Zara said nothing. But Toby looked her in the eye and smiled gently, like they were both in on the secret. Ronke never asked where he lived. Never asked what he did. She just assumed, like most rich people do, that if you arrive on a bike, you must be beneath her. Which is exactly how Toby wanted it. The wedding was quiet. No awambe, no crowd, just court papers, soft music, and Zara in a rented dress that fit better than any designer piece ever had. Ronke didn't attend. I have a spa appointment, she said. Do send pictures, if it's not in poor taste. Tiwa posted a fake cry emoji. Kamsi posted nothing. But Zara didn't care. Toby held her hand like it was gold. No spectacle, just sincerity. After the ceremony, he drove her himself. No Uber, no chauffeur, just a black SUV with faded windows and a quiet hum. As they crossed the bridge toward Lecky, Zara turned to him. "Where are we going?" "You'll see," he said. They pulled into a gated estate guarded by uniformed men who greeted him by name. She blinked. Then the car rolled to a stop before a white, glass-fronted mansion surrounded by trimmed hedges and palm trees. There were 3 cars in the driveway and a woman watering orchids who bowed slightly as they passed. Zara froze. "Toby, whose house is this?" He smiled. "Ours." She stumbled inside, marble floors, high ceilings, an office bigger than her old room. "I'm in tech," he said simply. "I founded my company 5 years ago. I wanted to see who would love me. Without the lights." Zara looked at him through tears, not because he lied, but because he never once made her feel like he needed to impress her. And for the first time in her life, she was being seen not as a burden, a helper, or a name to be managed, but as a partner. Invitations had gone out weeks in advance, white envelopes sealed in gold foil. Addressed to Lagos elite. Toby Adebayo was hosting his first official gala as CEO of a fast-rising tech company in partnership with a global foundation. Venue, the Sky Ballroom at Echo Hotel. Guests arrived in Rolls-Royces and Maybachs. The press lined the carpet, influencers fawned over the decor. But when Zara stepped out of the car, draped in an emerald gown with her hair swept up like royalty, time slowed. She didn't walk. She glided. Her name wasn't on tabloids, but tonight she owned the room. Inside, Ronki, Tiwa, and Kamsi sipped cocktails and gossiped loudly. They had no idea who tonight's hosts were. When Toby took the mic, Ronke's smile stiffened when he said, "And now I'd like to thank the woman who saw me long before any investor ever did. My wife, Zara Adebayo." Ronke's glass slipped from her fingers. The ballroom turned. Zara rose calmly. Applause filled the room. Her steps were slow, poised, silent thunder. Ronke's face was blank. Tiwa looked down. Kamsi pretended to text. Zara didn't gloat. She didn't scowl. She simply nodded, graceful, composed, untouchable. Because real revenge doesn't scream. It arrives in a Benz, draped in elegance, and doesn't need to say a word. Weeks after the gala, Banana Island buzzed with whispers. "Did you know that girl? Zara? The one they said was a housemaid? She's now the wife of a tech tycoon. She owns the Lecky mansion. Her face was in Forbes Africa's Women to Watch feature." Ronke Oduol heard it all. The same woman who once said, "You can stay upstairs," now found herself uninvited, unmentioned, and unseen. She visited Zara one afternoon, unannounced, hiding behind sunglasses and a false humility. "I just came to see how you're adjusting," she said, gripping her designer bag too tightly. Zara welcomed her in politely. She served fresh tea. There was no anger in her voice, just elegance. Ronke couldn't fake. "You did well for yourself," Ronke muttered, eyes scanning the marble floors, the art, the silent staff. Zara nodded. "Thank you, I had to." Ronke offered a weak laugh. "I always knew you were smart." Zara smiled, slow and knowing. "You knew I was invisible. That's not the same." Ronke left quickly, her perfume lingering longer than her relevance. That night, Zara stood on the balcony, looking out at the lagoon. Toby joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Still thinking about them?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, just remembering what it took to forget them." She had once been the ghost in the mansion. Now her silence echoed louder than their legacy. And nothing, absolutely nothing, would make her trade this version of herself for the girl they used to ignore.